Welcome to the Blackout Show, presented by the Guillen Grid, a show about the Chicago White Sox baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll debate what's working and what's not on the south side of Chicago. It's old school versus new school baseball. And most importantly, we're keeping all the receipts.
Yo, what is up, everybody? With me is Jay and myself. Jay, you just got knocked out of the 108 tourney in the first round again.
That's how we're going to start the show?
Yeah, that's how we're going to start. I can't talk shit about it because I've done that back-to-back years, and I got benched for it. So go ahead, give everybody your thoughts on the tourney, and I'll let you take it away.
So first of all, there's a lot of people that are brainwashed and believing that March Madness is the biggest tournament in March. No, it is actually the 108 White Sox fan tournament. And as Gonzo mentioned, for some reason, I got bounced in the first round by none other than my homie Joe, a.k.a. Dump on the Ump. I'm not going to lie, Gonzo, I'm actually hurt. Because it was my own friend that stabbed me in my chest and ripped my heart out on the ballots. And you know what? That's the last I'm going to say on it because it hurts. It hurts. I thought I was more beloved within White Sox Twitter. I guess I was sadly mistaken again.
But you're a good champ about it because I saw you endorsing a lot of people in the tournament. So
yeah, there's a lot of good people, and it's fun. To be honest with you, it's one of the highlights of my year because I love watching people like show their personality. Like usually in White Sox Twitter, people tweet all types of goofy stuff, but they never really project who they really are. So you get to see people, give out content and like you just said, promote other people. So it's a good time within the fan base. It could get pretty nasty and people could say some things, but and big picture wise, it's great for the fan base. And it can't wait for it next year. And we're not even done with this year yet.
Yeah. And shout out to the 108 guys, especially for B-Fluff, who had me on the Juice last week, which...
Yeah, you were absolutely amazing, by the way.
Thank you. That was 85 minutes of... I thought it was great from beginning to end. Especially if you stayed all the way through those 85 minutes and got to the end with me. I really did a hell of a job to pull everything together and wrap it up. So please go ahead and check out my episode in the Juice. It is on our show page. I pinned it to our profile so you can check it out. And the next pin that's going to be to our profile is our guest tonight. He's coming on for a second time, and he popped his cherry last time with us. And
my God.
He likes us just enough to come back to us. And all I got to say is he's an amazing guy. He is a guy I believe in, and he is going through the ranks in this world of baseball content. And not only content, but he stepped up his mark as even a coach, and he's a pitching coach now for BU University. His name is Nate Rasmussen. Nate, welcome to the show.
What's up, fellas? I don't know about the whole pop and the cherry thing, Chris, but I'm a recurring guest, man. It's maybe the biggest honor of my podcasting life.
Well, Nate, I think you killed it last time. You hit on a lot of different things. One particularly was Tanner McDougal, and we will get to him momentarily. But first, I want you with us as we break the news, which I actually brought up on the Juice. I believe B-Fluff asked me what the rotation looks like in the second half of the season, but I kind of predicted what it was going to look like for opening day. And then at the end, one of my points was, and I'm going to put on the screen here, out of these 5 guys, I think there's a world where only maybe 1 or 2 of these actually stay by the end of the season. And that's where I'll kind of lead it off for you guys. Where do you guys think this rotation, or how do you think it goes as we go through the season? I guess I'll let you both fire away at it.
I love that take. That what I'm assuming you're going to say that Smith is maybe the guy who stays in the rotation, but with how many guys you have that are AAA or close to it or have already had stints in the majors, I don't see why not. I mean, I'm not super inspired by any of the other 4 on that list, so maybe it's time for the young guys to come up mid-season.
Yeah, and I even said on the Yajus that, I mean, I don't think it's this year, but I think next year you can even see an opportunity to, even with the control on Shane Smith, depending how he does this year, he might be a trade target for that asset accumulation as you continue to roll through here. Because I only say that because I don't think that that's a guy as a middle rotational guy that you're going to extend at some point. So I think you should take the most out of the value of him. Again, we're a long ways from that, but I think for him being a Rule 5 pick, he's been tremendous and deservingly so. He gets the opening day start. But what you said going towards that rotation, I'm intrigued to see what Kay is going to do. Maybe he has that recipe of success that Fetty did when he came back overseas. But I even think Fetty is a guy that I think the league has already gotten a good, sample size of him to take notes and do damage to him. And I think that's a guy who probably gets DFA'd here in a couple months. And again, we're going to get to some of our promising arms that should be promoted this season. But Jay, what before I get to later in the season, what do you think about some of the other guys in that rotation?
Well, I mean, Davis Martin is going to be a sight for sore eyes. I missed him because he's a good talent. But the guy I got circled in this rotation is Sean Burke. He gave me a 1.4 whip last year. We know he's better than that. The K per 9 was about even. 134 innings, 133 strikeouts. I want to see if he could take a step forward. That means I want him bumped up to about 160, 170 innings. And let's see if he can get that K per 9 to about 9.3, 9.4. The talent is there. A big, strong guy. The heater's there. The curveball's there. And with him not having to match up with a lot of other people's, let's just say 1s, 2s, or maybe even 3s, he's literally competing against guys that are replacement level. And he's more talented than those guys in that tier. So I want to see Sean Burke take that step. Like I said, I miss Davis Martin. Can't wait to stream him in fantasy this year. But Sean Burke's my guy, Gonzo. I'm not going to lie. I'm excited to see him take that step forward.
Yeah, and now we're going to get to later in the season. And I do want to hear what Nate thinks about these 2 guys, or like how Getz is going to play with their service time. And ultimately, where do they start? Where do they end up? But one of those guys is Hagen Smith. And Jay, you got this from TJ, right?
Yeah, and not Tommy John. No.
Yeah.
It's actually the pitcher profile.
Pitch profiler.
Yeah. So because I'm not going to lie to you boys, when I see these charts on the internet, I get a little bit confused. All the bright colors and all these numbers and all of this stuff. But when I put the chart with the tape, he was absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. Like, I didn't know that he was throwing a cutter. This is news to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew the slider was dirty, but the fact that he was actually grabbing strikes with the cutter. I mean, 30 pitches, 5 Ks? That means more than half of his strikes came wiping guys out. This is a guy that we say is a project, right? Like, he's still a work in progress. I look at this, Gonzo, and I'm going to be honest with you, bro. People don't even know how loaded the White Sox system is. Because if you look at Hagen Smith in the minor leagues, like, he was a walk machine. Like, he was fighting command a lot of these starts. This wasn't one of those starts. I look at this chart and I'm like, oh my God. All right. You're giving me arm side run. You're giving me glove side command from a lefty. All right, cool. I'll take it. Especially at his age. It was great. I don't know. What did you guys think about the Hagen Smith?
Do you want me to get into this? This might come with some baggage, if we're being honest.
All right, come on. No. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Okay, so first of all, shout out to Jeremy, the man behind Pitch Profiler. I absolutely adore what he does. And then I trust his stuff scores and everything on that chart a bunch. Slightly concerned that cutter could be a mistag with the slider. It's so close in movement to the slider that I'm not confident saying that that's going to be anything more than a work in progress moving forward. I have heard murmurs of them trying to bridge between his fastball and his slider. And maybe he's testing out that cutter, but that pitch just isn't going to play as well as the stuff score might indicate, or even worse at that shape. The real problem with Hagen Smith is the walks and the inability to have a decent off-speed pitch. You know, the splitter looks good at times, but he doesn't have any confidence in that pitch. The cutter is trying to just give him an extra offering off of the fastball and the slider. And it's just 2 pitches right now, man. It's 2 60 grade pitches, which is awesome, but it's 40 grade command. It's a 40 grade splitter if you want to give it a grade, but he's not really throwing it enough at this point. And when I hear 2 60 grade pitches and nothing else above a 40, I don't know how I can think anything but a reliever. 40 grade command you can get by with if you have, 4 offerings that are above average or better. But I just don't think you can get away with 40 command with just 2 pitches right now.
I'm gonna cry.
So scary. And they're starting him in AAA. He walked what 17% of batters last year in AA. Like the old rule was 12% walks or less, and you're a starter. Mizorowski kind of broke that because I think he came in at like 14%. But we're talking about 17% for Hagen Smith. It's like 5% more than like the actual kind of cutoff for starters and versus relievers. And in the spring, he's been a lot better, but it's been a super small sample size. So I'm just really, really cautious with him right now. And starting him in AAA doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either.
Can you go on a little bit further on the? So do you think you would have started him at AA then and go from there, or what was your thoughts on that decision that they made?
Yeah, generally want to protect pitchers from AAA until we know that they're ready, and I'm just not sure Hagen Smith is ready. I think he still needs some protection because he still has so much to work on command-wise and with a third pitch. When a guy has that much left to work on in the minor leagues, I see no reason to expose him to AAA hitters who are going to actually get some hits off him. He could come in this year and work on his command and his splitter and AA and still dominate that league like he did last year. He with all those walks, he was still an absolute menace on the mound in AA, but he's just a lot to work on. And I fear that exposing him to AAA too early could bite them in the back. But at the same time, the stuff's good enough. I'm really interested to see where it goes because I could see it going either way.
And where do you see ultimately when they debut, both him and Noah? Do you think Schultz and Smith both start out of the pen, build their innings up to get some spot starts later in the year, or is there a difference between the two of them that you think their approach will be for them?
I like the Arsenal Schultz a little bit more, so I'm more likely to say he could start mid-year. I mean, we looked at the rotation already. There's not a whole lot holding him back. It's just, is he ready? And is service time, going to be manipulated enough? Whereas Smith, I would love to see them take the Garrett Crochet. And I know it's a bit of a different regime now, but I'd love to see the Garrett Crochet, Chris Sale route, where you have this lefty with 2 great pitches. Both Sale and Crochet were the exact same way. Great breaker, great fastball. And give him some time to develop before you let him start in the MLB. It's kind of the same thinking of why I would say AA before AAA for this year is let's start him in the pen before we give him starts, because there's still a little bit of work to do, and you can protect him in 1-inning formats with only 2 pitches, right? You only need 2 pitches coming out of the bullpen. As a starter, that's going to get exposed so much more. So I'd love to see them take the Garrett Crochet route with him because I think it could work. It's worked twice already.
Well, and a let's do a blast from the past. C.J. Wilson, perfect example. Started in the bullpen, turned into a very, very useful starting pitcher. Pitched somebody to the World Series a couple times.
And over history, it's funny because you really haven't seen it that many times, but most of the time when an MLB team starts at like a talented prospect in the bullpen, he develops into something really good when they let him start after a couple of years, which makes the Grant Taylor point that much more exciting for you guys. But you guys have done it twice already, and you got two more guys who fit the bill. Whereas like the White Sox are absolutely dominating this bullpen to starting transition. That small sample size, but it's worked in the past in MLB.
Yeah.
Let's take that a little bit further, Nate, because it's interesting you said that. Do you think, because for me, I'm kind of, let's just say this, for the other two, Crochet and Sale, I really thought that they would be starters when they got the opportunity. But with Grant right now, I'm more skeptical only because of the arm issue and what it's been able to handle to this point, because it's been very, very limited on innings usage. So do you really think that he will be able to build that arm up for the innings load to be a starter? Because if not, I really think you're going to trade him as a closer and get that value. But I want to hear what you think.
It's really interesting. I wouldn't trade him until you try starting him first, because that's where the value lies. I mean, we're talking front of the rotation, ace level stuff, if it all works out, but I would say the odds are less than 50%. So I think that's absolutely the missing piece in this whole formula, and why I would be so much more careful with Grant Taylor as a future starter. And it would just be more unlikely is because of the injury past. With that being said, I don't see why you don't test it out, because like the closer value is cool. Like we've seen some really good prospects get traded for closers, but this isn't Mason Miller yet. Maybe in a couple of years you might be able to get a DeVries type return, but I would love to see him at least try the transition. And something I always think about is how the Mariners managed Matt Brash. Is they started him out as a starter and at least figured out he couldn't do it, and then they were just like, "We're never going to do this again. You're going to be a reliever for the rest of the time." I thought that was cool. I would just like to see all of these relievers with like really good 4-pitch mixes to at least get a chance at some point. You know, Brash got his chance; it didn't work. He ended up getting TJ. He's a good reliever now. Like I just love to see him get a chance, and it's probably a year away.
Yeah, and I really it took me a minute to see the Mason Miller comparison, but then I really had to dig into it because Mason Miller was only a closer for a year and a half before he was traded. So you're really not too far off if you're starting
It's
to.
not crazy.
It really
It's
is
a little crazy, but
Do y'all
it's not
know
so
what
crazy.
type of? Do you know who I would be on Twitter if Grant Taylor is Mason Miller light?
He
I'm
is
gonna
Mason
get
Miller
blocked
light
and
right now.
reported.
He's Mason Miller light right now. It's
Right
will he turn
now?
into Mason Miller full? Oh yeah, with what he's doing with the stuff and the velo and the, I don't know, just I guess those are really the two, stuff and velo. It's
Yeah,
you don't
I
see
mean,
guys like that.
that's the calling card for like
It's all that matters.
so, like literally. There was some stat like he's the last 19 hitters he's faced, he hasn't given up a hit. Like dating back to the regular season. Like, do you know how disgusting Mason Miller is? And then we got that on the south side. Like, the door is still open for him to be a starter.
I was gonna say the only thing that sucks is that he's a reliever right now, because you're like, oh, that's the least important position. But if you get that out of a starter, then I mean, sky's the limit. Imagine the trade value of if he works out as a starter 2 years down the road.
I'm trying to think of anybody in the league right now that compares to Mason Miller as a starter. Maybe I don't know if Paul Skeens throws as hard as Mason Miller. But
Nobody throws as hard as Mason Miller.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like that's
Taylor would be down though. Taylor would be probably 97 as a starter.
Yeah, but even
still
his
incredible.
97 with hair.
So the next part of the show is the main reason why we're bringing Nate on, because
Here we go.
I've always loved Nate for his takes, because there's some really interesting takes, and I know he stands firm on them. Not only that he stands firm on them, but I know he's got a little backbone to it where I'm willing to listen to the backbone, because I know that it's something that's going to hit me over the head hit me over the top of the head, and I'm not going to be ready.
In
but
the face.
I'm going to be at a position where, you know what, he's got a point. So we're going to treat this with his 5 predictions that he gave us on Twitter. But for time's sake, Nate, I want this to be more so rapid fire, and just give me your best side of why you said it, and we're going to be willing to actively listen to it. And I'm sure Twitter is going to go off on it eventually, but for the good or bad, because you could be spot on and make everybody look silly. So this is Take Stay Nate. Let's go with number 1. Chase Meidroth is way better than Montgomery.
Damn.
And when he means Montgomery, I'm hoping it's Colson and not Braden. But Nate, go ahead, fire away with that first take.
This is a hot take. All right, it's absolutely Colson. Okay, so Montgomery's a better fielder. Meidroth is like the top end contact type bat, and Montgomery has this flair for the dramatic. Hit a bunch of home runs and less than 300 plate appearances last year. Here's my thing: is Montgomery had some really rocky. He had like a really rocky 16 months as a prospect there, where everyone was like, "This guy cannot play baseball all of a sudden," and now he's hitting 20 home runs in the big leagues. It was a weird 16 months for him. Still 30% K rate. The home run numbers skyrocketed from career norms once he got to the MLB, which is typically not normal. I think some batted ball luck has been in play there. 27% air pull rate, which is way above league average. Pretty crazy. I don't think that's going to be sustainable. The high home run rate makes sense when you pull the ball in the air that much, but pitchers can actively do things to not allow you to pull the ball in the air. And I'm concerned that as the tape develops on Montgomery, the K rate continues to go up. They don't let him get to his pull side as much, and the home run power isn't there. With that being said, Montgomery, just with the defensive floor over Meidroth, makes this a tough one. But I don't think anyone would be surprised if Chase Meidroth hit 275, 280 this year with 12 home runs. He has some pull side juice as well, not the same as Montgomery. But I just like the hit tool prospect over the power prospect for the most part. It just feels a lot safer. I think the range of outcomes on Montgomery is just really wide still.
So you're saying Montgomery has a way lower floor than Meidroth?
I would say hitting floor for sure. Montgomery has a slightly higher defensive floor, but Chase Meidroth played a really good shortstop in about the same amount of innings last year. So I think the defense is at least comparable. But with the bat, I'm concerned about Montgomery moving forward. There are still holes in the swing. He only hits breaking balls well. Doesn't hit fastballs well at all. I don't love a guy who can't hit a fastball. Just kind of scares me.
Yeah, and listen, it was only, 72 games that he had for that sample size, if I remember right. So, and there are questions to that hitting profile, like you alluded to. So we're definitely going to see who he truly is in a full season. But one of my biggest things about this is when he failed in the minors, and we saw what happened, with dealing with the failure of baseball and how far he went.
Let's go! Break number 2 red shot! What
There
the
we
hell
go.
is a Venezuela?
You're ahead of me, dude. You're ahead on my TV.
You're about to see
I haven't
right
even
now,
seen it
man.
yet.
I'm sorry.
So we lost Jay there, but we'll get him back. So
I'm coming back.
and
Where else
saying
are you
that,
going to get this, man? I love this podcast.
and saying that, Nate,
132-109.
we haven't truly seen Colson fail yet in the majors. How is he going to deal with that? How quickly is he going to bounce back from that? These are a lot of true questions that we have to see answered first before any White Sox fan should write him off as saying, this is our guy. This is the guy that's the best talent right now on our roster. I can't even say he is that at this point, but I'm excited to see, can he take off from where he left off at from last year.
I just want to see if I just want to heat check him. I'm worried he's a streaky kind of guy, and I think Meidroth has that level of comfort. Meidroth plays second base for a couple more years. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that if I'm the White Sox.
Although I really think that Antonacci is going to show
Bang on the door.
Yep, he might bounce Chase from that position at second pretty soon here.
It'll be interesting to see how they manage that whole thing.
I think the White Sox got a surplus of infielders, like especially in the middle of the diamond too. It's going to be crazy.
Yep. So next take of Nate is on the board with Grant Taylor is an all-star. So I know we talked about him a lot already. So yours to take really quickly here.
Yeah, he didn't have a great chase rate last year, and he was still one of the most dominant relievers in the league. So I would say just an extra year of seasoning. Maybe throw it in the zone less, Grant Taylor. Hitters also outperformed the expected batting averages on his fastball and curveball by over 60 points. Both of those pitches had sub 200 expected batting averages against. Hitters actually hit closer to 260 on both those pitches this year. But when the expected numbers are that far off from the actual numbers, I can't imagine he doesn't level up further.
I believe your take was my bold prediction for last year when we were talking about our predictions before the season started. So I'm really hoping that he does become an all-star because, again, that's a guy that we've been high on ever since really, really early on in 2024. So I'm with you on that.
He's so fun.
This stuff's elite, and it's just if he can command it to a point we haven't seen yet, it can definitely play in this game. So let me go back to the third take of notes they take.
I'm not gonna lie. If Grant Taylor makes an all-star game this summer, like Nate, you're noted and goated.
Okay, so here's my thing: is who else is going to make the team? What hitter are you like? Yeah, that guy's an all-star.
Well, Mooney! No, I don't know.
All right, stop it. Shane Smith made the team last year.
I know, but that was the courtesy one. He wasn't good enough to. I don't think you guys have anyone good enough to be just a straight-up all-star. So who's the courtesy one? Who's the best player on your team statistically?
Kyle Teal, let's go.
Normally, the bad teams get the reliever or the starter in like a weird situation. It's normally a pitcher from the bad teams because the hitters always come from good teams. I think Shane Smith's your best pitcher talent-wise. Sorry, did I say Shane Smith? I meant Grant Taylor. I'm all over the place, man. But Grant Taylor's your best talent. I think that he makes the most sense for an all-star team.
All right. At third bullet point, Hagen Smith is in the bullpen by July.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about this a little bit. I think it could be I don't think it's permanent forever because when you pick a guy top 10, you at least give him a shot to start in the major leagues at some point. But he's just ready for the bullpen. 260, 60-grade pitches. I mean, one of the better fastball slider combinations in the minor leagues from the left side is incredible, and it would work in a bullpen right now and would form. I mean, you guys might have an electric bullpen by the end of this season with some of the guys coming through. But yeah, just really, really, really worried about the control and some of the mechanical stuff. Still has a ways to go. So, but I don't think you can keep him in the minor leagues forever.
I'm thinking right now, like as far as like left-handed relievers, who would I compare like Hagen Smith to, and he doesn't have Andrew Miller's arm slot, but I feel okay. Let me ask you, Nate. If you got Hagen Smith in the bullpen, do you trust him to go multiple innings? Let's just say 7th, 8th inning, medium, high leverage.
I mean, if your thought is more trying to make him a starter by next year, then that's probably what you would do. It depends on if they want to take the longer route like they did with a guy like Crochet who spent multiple years in the bullpen. I don't know how they view him internally. I'm sure that they don't want him in the bullpen, but I think it might make the most sense. So it'll be interesting to see.
And I actually don't think it'll take till July. I think you can see Hagen Smith up sooner, depending
Start
on
him
how.
in AAA, like they believe.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think he needs to be in AAA for too long, really. I think when that service time comes up, if he's doing well in AAA, bring him up in May. Start building.
He could be in an MLB bullpen right now. He could be in the bullpen right now, and he'd be one of your better relievers.
Yeah. Let's go next up, which is one I've been looking forward to. Tanner McDougal is your best starter by FIP, and I love me some FIP. So go ahead, take it away, Nate.
I think last time I was on was the McDougal. I think I discovered him on that podcast. I think I'm the McDougal guy now. No, but
we talked about McDougal before, but when you came on and went full blast on it, I'm like, I'm
We
just
were
like,
fired
oh
up.
yeah, let's fucking go.
He literally took off his pants. I seen it.
Because McDougal was creeping around. He was like, this guy's interesting. He's having a good start to the year, but he finished 2025 so well. And the velo and just the spin, like it's just a combination that you just don't see all that often. Such big velo and such high spin rates. No walks in 8 spring training games is something that I absolutely love to see from a guy who used to struggle with command pre 2025. And he came off TJ. He had shaky command in 24. He leveled up the command in 25. Now I'm thinking 26 is the year that he adds like a really good fourth offering because he's got the slider and the curveball and the fastball. Work in progress changeup from what I've seen might be a split. Nailing that down is what's going to help him succeed in an MLB rotation. And I do think that he's just so close already. Probably going to start in AAA. I don't see how you don't bring him up at some point this year just to test it out. And he's outperformed his ERA every single year, pretty much. The FIP has been better than the ERA. So that's telling me he's one of those FIP guys. Limits home runs, doesn't walk a crazy amount of batters, and has huge K numbers. That's the FIP. It's the FIP masterclass right there.
And while we talk about McDougal, I think, again, we talked about this pre-show, Nate, but I was really hoping that they didn't even play the service game with him because I don't think that that's a guy you really need to play that service game with at the moment. Because I'll go on to it a little further, but I really think, like you did with Shane Smith, you could have given him the ball right off the bat, and I think he would have proven your point of him being the best in that rotation before Noah and Hagen come up. And again, I'm going to ask you this question because I think that you know the answer is that sure as well that I do. That do you think that Tanner could have had a better year than Shane Smith did last year? While you think on that, I'm going to give my case for Tanner not being worried about service time because
Yeah.
I think Tanner ultimately, I think he's going to be a middle rotation guy. And for that same argument for Shane Smith, I think that's a guy that you're probably not going to extend. But if you want to worry about that extra year and maybe he shows you something in his debut season, you can ultimately give him that early extension if you really wish to and gain that year back, if not another year. But go ahead and take it away, Nate, because I know I threw 2 different things at you.
Yeah, I don't see them extending him early. Just not high level enough. Too many. He could still be a reliever for all we know. It's interesting. I think if you're the White Sox, though, what is the point of allowing him to be on the roster opening day? Yeah, you're not going to learn anything that you don't know. You're just going to give the guy extra time in the minor leagues, which pretty much never hurts a pitcher. And you're going to gain the year back. And when we think about the White Sox, like 7 years from now, or even 5 years from now, 4 years from now, it's going to be a completely different team who's probably starting to compete for things. And having that extra year at that point is going to be so much more important than like him starting on the opening day roster would pretty much just be fan service because there's pretty much zero incentive for them to bring him up. He's not going to be a rookie of the year guy. I don't see him factoring into any PPI picks or anything like that. So I agree with what they're doing from a baseball perspective. You know, I understand it. It kind of sucks for fans because you're like, this guy's ready. Let him go. But I think that they're doing it the right way.
And you think maybe he has a better year than Shane Smith if it came down to, you know, if he actually did be given that stance to be in the rotation opening day?
I think there's definitely a chance. I would say I wouldn't put money on it just because Shane Smith like really impressive stuff last year. But I mean, McDougal's kind of cut from a similar-ish cloth if you think about like types of pitchers and I think that they have more in common than maybe we think. You know, solid number 3 pitchers on a decent team.
Yep. All right. Last but not least, Nate, this is actually the one.
This is the one I want to get to right here.
This is the one that I'm all aboard on, and I want you to go full blast with it. Give me your all, Nate, because this is awesome. Jaden Fauske is your number 2 ranked prospect at the end of the year. Nate, take it away.
All right. First of all, Fauske, grew up a White Sox fan, which I just think is awesome. And I always believe in those guys just a little bit more. It's a really good bat. I would just describe him as hitterish, which is just like, I just am confident when he's in the box. And it's not crazy power, and the defensive profile isn't anything to write home about, but he's just going to show up and hit, kind of like we saw with Caleb Bonnemer. The guy just kind of hit, and everyone was like, who is this? Second round pick, and Fauske wasn't like a huge name in draft circles. Some people really liked him as kind of a data darling, but Bonnemer just showed up and hit, and now he's your number one prospect. And Fauske doesn't have the juice that maybe you'd expect from a top prospect, but here's my thing, is Bonnemer will be your top prospect at the end of this year, most likely. Billy Carlson, I think, could get surpassed by Fauske by the end of this year. And I think Opor is too sketchy. Paez probably won't graduate either.
Come on, bro. He joins right at this time, man.
No, I'm just joining. Don't mind. You guys can kick me out. You guys talking White Sox?
Kick him out. He just said kick
I'm
him
good.
out.
I'll join. I'll join
He
out.
just said kick him
Ozzy, I'll put you in the studio. We'll bring you on when we talk WBC in a couple minutes.
I'm watching good game.
All right, go ahead and continue on with Fauske.
I just think that he could surpass Carlson because Carlson still has quite a few questions with the bat. Carlson's a great fielder, and I think prospect nerds will keep him high because he's like Gold Glove caliber shortstop in the future. But I'm not so sure about the hit tool, and I am very sure about Fauske's hit tool. And I could see him rising up the board because of that. Like, Carlson could have a very slow start to his minor league career, and I think Fauske profiles a guy who might start out pretty hot.
I'm with you.
So going back in history, the only catcher that I've seen translate to the outfield and didn't really work out is Blake Sable. But if you look at guys like Dalton Varsho, stuff like that, I know Fauske's hit tool is a little bit better than Varsho's. I don't see the swing and miss and the K. To be honest with you, I like the take because it's safe. The stuff that he does well, a lot of other prospects or projects, and they would have to work themselves into being better hitters, making more contact, swing decisions, eye at the plate. Like, I'm okay with the take, to be honest with you. And it's crazy because when you say a guy like that, the second round pick, is shooting up to the number 2 prospect, like, that's hefty, if you know what I'm saying, because that means he's going to be better than guys with more talent than him.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like it. I'm okay with it, to be honest with you.
I think it's the hottest take of the group. I think surpassing Billy Carlson in a year, Billy Carlson would have to be really bad this year for that to happen.
And I think one of the hardest things coming up may be trading Carlson. I'm going to get to that later. Not in this episode, but later in the season, I'm going to bring it up because it might be something to consider at some point with drafting Rock. But Nate, before we talk WBC, we're going to bring Ozzy on as well to talk about WBC. We're going to talk a little rapid fire about MLB rotation since we do have the pitching coach of Bushnell University with us. I was interested to talk about some MLB rotations with you while we had you on. And we're going to start off with your team, actually, in Seattle. Nate, your boys in Seattle are absolutely loaded. And there's a potential that we're going to see Kate Anderson later in the year, potentially.
Hefty lefty.
Would you consider trading, I don't know, Luis Castillo or Bryce Miller per se, knowing that you got this kid coming up and you might need a couple of bats later in the season to go further in the playoffs than you did a year ago?
I don't think Castillo is going to get you the bat that you want, which makes him not a great trade candidate. With that being said, I think George Kirby or Bryce Miller, I would be fine trading, but like, do we need to, is my question. Like, are the bats not good enough? Did we not try and solve this by trading for Brendan Donovan? And it'll be interesting because Emerson Hancock or Cooper Criswell probably start as SP5 this year because Bryce Miller's dealing with some elbow stuff. But I would be interested in trading either of those. Expecting Kate Anderson to be ready by midseason is a little bit fast for my liking. Not everyone is Trey Savage or Nolan McLean. So I'm not 100% sold on like, let's bring Anderson up this year. By next year, though, he's going to be ready. And you're still going to have 5 pitchers under contract. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do. But Anderson and Sloan, man, both could pitch this year. I just don't know if I want the rookie in the playoff race in September.
I like to hear that. I really, if it was me, I would hope that a Wu would maybe get an extension because that's a guy that I really believe in.
Gilbert.
Oh, okay. I like that too. Yeah, no, between Cade and Sloan, that's a guy as a Sox fan I wanted in the second round, but again, you couldn't convince me between Bonnemer and Sloan. You can't go wrong either pick there at that selection. Let's go to Jay's bisexualness in Boston.
So
you might see Witherspoon potentially, and you also have.
I think he's a bullpen arm though.
Okay. Oh
no,
no, that's going to be one of the most fun starting pitcher prospects by next year, I would say. He's
really?
a great. He's so funky, and he's got so many pitches that I would be really surprised. And you guys have so much depth too. You guys, as if you're a full-time Red Sox fan, but
it varies.
Witherspoon could be really cool in a couple of years.
So the only reason I said is because of the log jam in the starting rotation, because we got Peyton, we got Khan early. You know what I'm saying? Witherspoon, as you just mentioned, we went out and got Oviedo and Sonny Gray. Those aren't long-term acquisitions, but obviously they're trying to incubate the dragon eggs. I just don't. Yeah, go ahead, Gonzo.
I want to add this too, because Nate, we saw that they demoted Toll right away, but Early's he's still on the bubble right now. Do you think he might break opening day?
I would rather have Early than Oviedo as my 5. With that being said, Tolle is the most talented pitcher outside of Garrett Crochet in that organization. Early is going to be a great back-end starter for a long time. Tolle has an opportunity to be like one of the better 2s in the league, if not a 1. Super high on him. And I think Witherspoon has 2 or 3 upside as well, just from the shapes he's able to create from that arm slot. I mean, he dominated last year. But it's a wealth of riches when you're looking like long term. What you got, Crochet, you have Suarez for a while. I think Bayo's probably gone at some point. And then you have Early and Tolle. So you got 4 guys long term if you're trading Bayo, and then that 5th one, Witherspoon, makes a lot of sense.
And my 3rd team I wanted to talk to you about is the Mets. Because again, we've seen McLean pitch tonight, but I don't know what they're going to do with Tong. I know they already made the decision and sent him down to the minors already. But again, what are we going to see from Tong and others in their organization? Because you got Wessinger as well that is coming up the ranks and could see time this year.
Don't forget Christian Scott is working his way back too.
Especially with all the older vets that they have with Manea and others that they have to decide on that are under contract as well. So what's your take on the Mets?
I'm not a Jonah Tong guy, and I've never been, and I've caught a lot of heat for that. I think I'm starting to look a little better because he has struggled. Like the MLB stint wasn't great. My whole thing is he's a fastball changeup guy, and he does not. The breaking ball is not good. And how many fastball changeup dominant starters have like truly succeeded? It's gross, and it's really fun release traits. And it's a lot of things that you love to see, but without a true breaking ball shape that's like above average, I don't know how he can be anything more than a back end guy. We saw it with Logan Henderson on Milwaukee. So I'm much more interested in some of these other names than Jonah Tong for like this year with the Mets. Jonah Tong in a couple of years, sure, but he's still got a ways to go. And they kind of have a 6-man right now with Senga looking so good coming back and trading for Peralta, and Peterson's been great for them. So I'm not too worried about the Mets pitching depth. Like they kind of have some depth, like Jay mentioned with Scott too. They got some fun guys,
and that's with trading Sproat. And you know what I'm saying?
Didn't need him.
Didn't they get Tobias Myers in that deal too?
I believe they did.
Right.
He's slated in the bullpen right now as a long reliever. I don't know. I'm assuming that they've announced that. But still another fun name, right? Swing starter. Why not?
Can I throw a Uno wild card, Gonzo? I know we're trying to slam the book on this, but the Cincinnati Reds. I've been getting a lot of notifications because I'm a big Chase Burns guy, and they were talking about doom and gloom, and now I got a notification saying he's going to make the opening day. We already know Hunter Green is missing a little bit of time. Nate, I want to know, what do you make of the Cincinnati Reds rotation? Let's just say take Green out of it. We got Lodolo, Abbott, Williamson. Like Rhett Lauder has been thrown into the fire all of a sudden. What do you make of that?
I'm terrified. Green is a steadying presence there, and so many guys who are due for aggression with Abbott and Lodolo and Singer. They all performed really well last year, which is why they stole that 7 seed. And the underlying stuff is not as good as their ERA basically indicated last year. With that being said, Rhett Lauder, great like 4 starter. Chase Burns is the guy there. I'm all in on Chase Burns. It's elite starting pitcher stuff. And I think by the end of this year, he's probably their number 1, Hunter Green number 2. I would not be surprised.
Before we go to WBC talk, Ozzy, did you have anything about MLB arms right now that you're interested in?
That are in the big leagues?
Mm-hmm.
There's WBCs just showing that there's a lot of guys with great arms that you really don't know their names. The kid that pitched today for the Mets, he's got a grown pair, but what an arm.
Yeah, Nolan McLean's a dog.
And I'm glad.
No.
He is a dog.
His arm is a dog.
He was good last year for them.
He was good for 6 games. I don't use those words but I think arm wise that I hadn't seen an arm like that. Great arm. And Team Venezuela had the kid that pitched yesterday. I think he pitched like 6 games, also 5 games. He looked like a live arm, but the one that's impressed me the most, and people are going to think that I just don't watch him. I just didn't think that he was that great, meaning he saved a lot of games and looked great. But I think the jump Plasencia has made, he looks a lot more fit. He's nasty. And I thought that early in the tournament, he was just looking like that because he was facing semi-pro players. But as the tournament has gone, and we're probably going to see him here in the 9th, kid's got good stuff. So I think
we're going to walk off on him, by the way.
But they could. That's the name of the beast. They got United States has 3 hits right now, 4 hits. That's embarrassing. There's no other way to play.
And before we deep dive, Ozzy, I'm glad you said that because the Angels kind of surprised me with the kids that they got with the Italy guy Algardi, and then
those guys, every arm from the tournament, the hitters that did well, like that people might have not known their names, they kind of were known, but like Team Italy, the arms that were there, the young arms from Brazil, like the young kids like Contreras' son who's like 17, 16, that's going to be somebody that's going to be now on the radar. I think that the arms around what was the team? I think Great Britain had some double-A guy.
Yeah,
they might have been in Great Britain.
Netherlands. Victor. Niger Victor.
I had no idea who that guy was.
He is nasty.
That guy is very nasty. So I think from this tournament, what I've noticed is a lot stronger pitching with a lot of velo and movement. So yeah, it's just
Victor's another Angels prospect as well as Lucas Ramirez, which I know you were kind of alluding to, Ozzy, but I'm glad you brought that point up because that was something that not only I think Baseball Prospects actually put a video of that, so I'm glad that you made that point. So it was well timed on that point, I should say.
No, but I think it's going to be a time where I think pitchers, I think that in the next couple of years we might see better arms. Team USA, the 2 top guys I think it would be Skeens and Skubal. Like, oh my God, these guys are that great. So I think it's coming into an era where in the next couple of years, I think it's going to be pitching dominant, where those are the guys who are going to be the superstars. And kind of like the guys that are hitting now are still going to be the same guys. I think there's younger, better arms than there is bats right now, prospect-wise, just coming up.
Yeah. Anyone in the chat? Well, we're going to talk about WBC, but anyone in the chat, if you want to fire a question at us, go ahead and fire one. We'll answer it. But Ozzy, you were in our group, or not in our private chat, talking about the coaching decisions. I want you to go on about that a little bit. I think you said something about DeRosa in there.
So I haven't been a fan of him. Mike's a great guy. I think that one of the hardest things you got to do when you go from TV to managing and vice versa is you got to pass the switch. You can see Ozzie Guillen, obviously, the way he talked when he was a manager to how he talks now on TV. Mark thought that this was like an exhibition spring training tournament. You know, there's a whole country, like even if baseball's not the NFL, there's people that are number one betting, number two that you're expecting your team to go out there and just, you know, dominate, especially coming from the hockey team winning. So I think he was very nonchalant. I think that the Italy game, he had no clue that it was a game that he was even in the game. That's why he had that, you know, Kershaw was warming up, then he sat him down. And I think that's I think the biggest responsibility from when they bring coaches there, and I don't understand, I know that they're like the big name guys, make those guys assistants, because you have a huge responsibility to the organizations on counting days, on making sure guys are doing what they're supposed to do. Like Albert Pujols, I was like, I hope somebody's making the moves for him, because he looked like he had no idea what he was doing. So I think that's the dangerous part, because you have to be able to maintain the guys, you know, from a pitching standpoint, be able to, you know, count their days and whatnot and put them there. But I think that, you know, he was a guy that everyone thought he was a genius. Everyone's really good when you're on doing this and talking. It's another thing on the field. The game goes a lot faster. And there's some decisions there that, you know, are going to be like,
I'm about to fucking puke.
Why did this happen? Again, the United States, man, Venezuela has a lot of passion, and Venezuela and Dominicans think that they're the best teams no matter who they have on the field. They're not even close to the United States. The United States had 7 WBC teams. The talent of the United States, you know, they were all Team Italy. They were half of Team Britain. And for the United States to have all these young guys go there, and today, not losing, but 3-4 hits with that great offense, it hurts. It's going to hurt them. It's if they lose, it's going to hurt them, and it's a big wake up call, because again, it's everyone. It's like when the NBA started losing games in after the Dream Team. Like, everyone now is really good at baseball. You know, Team Italy was just a couple pitches away from, you know, I think if Cervelli takes out Lorenz, who was like maxed out and tired and kind of trusted the guys in the pen, he might have had a better shot, you know, in that out. But it's hard. It's a quick tournament, but I think people can either think that you're a great manager because you had a great tournament, or you get off the list of being a supposedly great manager. Remember Brad Osmus? That's why he got the Tigers job, because he did great with Team Israel. And then he inherited the greatest pitching staffs that never win anything. You can go look them up. A couple of Cy Youngs on that team. They lost they got destroyed again. But this tournament is based for that. But it'll be a huge day, man. It'll be a huge. This is not the best team ever assembled in Venezuela. They had a better team in 2009. You know, they got Santana, Freddie, you know, King Felix, guys that are, you know, the best pitchers of all time in those countries. So it's going to be great for Venezuela, disappointing for the States. For me, it was a win-win. I got a passport for both places.
You make me sick to my stomach.
Oh, well, your guy Willie Abreu, you should be happy.
I'm not as happy. I live here.
Well, I'm just saying, though, by the way, he was a guy. So the guys that have been for Venezuela, guys that have been the best players are guys that were like on the fringe players to make this roster. Micah Garcia, Willie Abreu, Arias, guys that were not supposed to be on this team. And especially like the pitchers, they went, you know, they took away Alvarado, a couple of the big name arms that I've known, and they went with guys like Plasencia, and it's worked out so well. They're 1 out away from making history.
I want to ask each and every one of you, what is one thing that this tournament has surprised you this year on? For me, it was seeing Team Italy's guys just surprise people in this tournament, especially the White Sox guys in that on Team Italy with Antonacci and Teal. Unfortunate for Teal, you know, pulling a hammy while he's rounding first there, but Antonacci has surprised a lot of people, and I'm glad that on the national stage. And again, Ozzy texted this too on Twitter, but a guy that, you know, a year ago no one knew anything about, and making several big performances in the tournament. So that would be mine for at least this classic. Nate, what say you?
Well, I don't know if you guys are caught up on the TV, but
Don't say
wow.
it.
No, I won't spoil. I think the empowerment the players have is both beautiful, but it's frustrating in a way. Like Scooble only being able to pitch in a certain game and not allowing for any re-racking of the rotation. Like McLean should not have been starting game 4 and game 7 of this thing. And players and teams are preventing, any kind of wiggle room with these guys. Like you have to pitch on this day and you only get this many pitches. And it's interesting because it's just this new era of baseball where the teams dominate. You're making so much money that the team gets to call the shots on everything that you do. And it's frustrating because like Scooble should be pitching in this game. Logan Webb should have pitched in different games. Like it's just frustrating how it all kind of turned out. As a USA fan myself and seeing that, not the best pitcher doesn't always get the ball, even when you're playing for a WBC title.
Well said. Go ahead, Jay.
I'm sick to my stomach, number one. But it was just amazing to me. I look forward to this tournament every 3 years because you get to see everybody's culture play out. And everybody was making a big fuss about the United States not showing as much flair as Dominican Republic, Venezuela, everything else. Like, that's not our style. Like, we watched Japan win a couple of championships with the humble approach as far as like respecting their opponent, not showing anybody up on the field. Like, we got to see the world's baseball culture in full effect. Everything, like, I'm watching right now, and Aaron Judge has a dejected look on his face. Bobby Witt has a dejected look on his face. This is a loss. This is not an exhibition loss. This is a huge loss for the United States because they knew we had the best players that our game had to offer, our country had to offer, right? The 3 years from now, the next tournament, we're going to see a hungry and heated United States team because this is going to fester because some of these guys lost to their teammates and you're going to have to hear about it for 6 months. You're going to hear about it for probably longer than that, OJ.
You'll hear it to the next WBC. So there's always a saying in baseball.
You'll hear about it for the next 3.
You'll hear about it.
Teammate telling me that my country kicked your country's ass with you on the roster. You scored, 4 runs in the last 18 innings of baseball, and you're the best that my game has to offer. So I don't want to be on this other side of that, and they're going to have to be. I can't wait. I'm going to build a time machine.
So I think that you have a point on that. So, and again, it's about culture. So we always say this, like when the 4 teams got in the finals, like if Team Italy
Look
wins,
at these losers. Congratulations, Oz.
I was ready for
We got another one.
I was ready for both.
And you're not wearing the USA hat.
I got both. You know what? I said this. I said the team, and I'll talk more about the in-game of why Venezuela deserves to win and why sometimes losing helps you get better as a team. And in development, it's huge, especially in a small tournament, even in a season. So when I said if Italy goes to the finals, if they win, it's going to be the greatest baseball story ever, regardless. It's based on your bloodline, wherever you're from. Those guys, Italians, wherever they're born, they're going to keep those bloodlines. So it would have been a great story. Everyone would have been happy. Dominicans and Venezuela wins, they're going to remind you every single day that they beat you. Your teammate, when they play against you, the United States wins, they're going to celebrate. They know they're the best. They're not going to say anything. Japan, it's like whatever. They think they're the best. But the Latino players, they're going to let you know. Like Acuna's going to let you know. Micah's going to let you know. Because it's a huge prideful thing of like the bragging rights. And I think Team Venezuela was a way different team prior to playing Dominican Republic. And I thought the Americans were going to get woken up because I get it, man. Some of these guys, and comparing about like excitement. Bryce Harper's played in the World Series. Aaron Judge plays in New York. He plays in front of fans all the time. He's been in the big games. He's an MVP. This is like, okay, it's a tournament. It's cool, whatever. A lot of guys on the other rosters, none of the guys that the White Sox have played in this atmosphere. This is the closest thing they ever had. Micah Garcia plays for the Royals. Tovar plays for the Rockies. They've never had this opportunity. So to them, this is like a big playoff excitement. And you could be playing men's baseball. If you have that competitive level inside of you, and that's what I kept saying about Mark DeRosa, like Derek Jeter was on Fox, and he was mad that they were playing bad, and he's wearing a suit. And that's the difference between winning, losing. And Ozzy said it earlier today, like for Venezuela today, you know, my wife's probably fell asleep already. She didn't even know that Team USA was playing. It's like a thing. It's a big thing for American fans. Like we're diehards. Like we're not the norm. Like we're real hardcore fans because we love the game. In Venezuela, any average Joe was just watching the game because, number one, it's the biggest victory of all time. We beat Japan. And I think they deserve it because they lost to Dominican in a game they should have won. They beat Japan. They beat a great team, Italy, that whooped on some good teams. And they beat Team USA. The cool thing about the tournament, the WBC, and I know people want to change the format. I would change it to play like halfway in the middle of the season because I would love to see these guys like in full season mode, which would be even scarier. But a lot of these guys were playing like it means a lot to them. Like it means a lot to be able to put in. And I thought that they were just, once you get into the tournament, you know, you're just going to turn it up. And I always say this, when you're in a baseball game, analytics, stats, ball movement, all that stuff, players on paper, it's on paper. You got to do it.
Here.
I'm saying you have to do it on the field. And again, I think the hardest thing to coach at the professional level is how fast the game moves. I've done MLB broadcasting. I've watched 1,000 games, and I do a show and I can critique moves after the fact. When you're in that bench, it seems like everything is so much faster. Like you're like, oh my God, like you're managing, coaching, pitching, coaching in professional baseball, pro baseball at like just advanced levels of like innings ahead. Like you're not thinking about this, and you're thinking about like, oh my God, who am I going to bring in the sixth? Do I have this guy ready? And then in this tournament, it's even harder because you're playing with other teams' assets. Like you don't want to be the pitching coach that gets a guy hurt. The responsibility that you have, like, yes, so the pressure, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things that go into it. But I think that a tournament that a couple of years ago, people were like, should we have this? This is dumb. You know, it's the viewership, the fan base, you know, the growth of it. It's amazing. And again, Venezuela won. They're tied to the Dominicans now, and it's great. And it's cool that Venezuela gets to win in Lone Depot Park, the Marlins Park. We won the Caribbean Series there, and it was packed. I can only imagine it today with the national team. And again, it's just by the way, I'm going to say this right now. Biggest victory in Ronald Acuña's career because he was hurt with the Braves. He's ever won. When we won in the championship in the Caribbean Series, he didn't play. Mike had played. So for those guys in the Venezuelan team, I'm looking at the whole team's roster. I don't think, is there anybody on that roster that's won the World Series?
Salvi.
Other than Salvi, who else? Like that's
Wilson Contreras.
Two guys. So like for all these guys, this is like this is their big moment, you know. And again, I know the World Series is the greatest thing you can win. I don't care what anybody says. But like when you're bringing players into that, like, dude, remember when the United States won, you guys remember the MVP, who it was, right? Marcus Stroman. Remember Stroman's like, because why? Because he was like, he went nuts and just took the tournament into another level. So I think in the construction of the lineup and the team, I don't like this. I'm going to go pitch for one day and then I'm going to leave. Vet the guys out and take.
We're talking to you, Scooball. You.
No, I'm being honest. And on any team, and I'm talking about like take the guys that want to be there. Like if you have a guy that's on the fringe because of contract, because of injury, because of anything, don't be like, hey, thank you very much. Don't come to the tournament. But like again, this is a precursor to the Olympics. So you're going to the Olympics. They're playing the United States, Dodger Stadium. It's going into collective bargaining. I hope that they go out there with more fire because the way that they've played, not because they lost, the team took the tournament very nonchalant. And it makes it worse because, again, my people, which I don't agree with it because I'm more of a American style baseball. And, I don't celebrate scoring a run in the first inning and jumping out of the dugout. It's just not the way that I do it. But the part that I enjoyed the most about the WBC that a lot of people don't get to see, you get to see if you get to work with people from different countries and in pro ball. every nation is different. They all have their own style of play. They all have their own culture, the way that they go about things and play the game. Again, people think that the Americans game is boring. That's just how they play. That's just their game. And I expect them to play that way. I think it's more intimidating when Paul Skeens strikes you out and just stares you down than him just fist pumping. I don't expect him to do that. So that's what I enjoy the most about the WBC is just the different styles of play. That's in general. And Jay, it's okay.
It's not okay. It's not okay. As a Red Sox fan, I rooted for fucking Aaron Judge.
Oh, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. I feel bad for you because you're not going to win. You're double whammy because you're not. Red Sox are not going to win the World Series. WBC's not going to. You're.
As a White Sox fan, I watched Danny fucking Palencia shut the best fucking United States players out. Roman Anthony Cade to end the tournament, OJ.
Yeah. By the way, who's Eduardo Rodriguez? He's still with the Diamondbacks, right?
Yeah.
He had a 5.5 ERA, by the way.
Put it this way: if he pitches like he did tonight, they got themselves a really good pitcher because I have not seen him throw the ball that well in a very, very long time.
I can't keep living like this, Nate. I can't live like this, Nate.
He will never pitch. I don't think he's going to pitch that well again in his career because it's never going to mean as much.
No, correct.
It just means more, right? It's the whole SEC thing, but it just means more, man.
You look at NOLA, guys that are like in the lateral part of their career, and you see the numbers that they put, and you're like, wow, like just like the velocity, the stuff, the movement. Again, you get pumped. I don't care what anybody says. There's a big difference in playing a game in April or a spring training game or one of the meaningless 162 that you're just going through the grind than getting into playoff mode. And another thing that this tournament helped, in which I like the fact that even though Teal got hurt, again, it's 6 weeks, it's not that big of a deal, that they got to experience that taste of competitiveness. Because I think the hardest thing that you need to replicate between minor league baseball, prospects, and getting into your team, like in the system, is that if your team is not one of those teams that's in the hunt for those years, how do you get those guys to get to the next competitive level of like playing with those, having that adrenaline run? This tournament is perfect for them because, it just makes them play that much better. Because again, the fans are just into it, and it shows you if you're gonna melt. Like McLean, for example, he has to play with this pressure. You're playing for the Mets. They could be the last place team. It's the New York Mets. It's a little bit different than other cities. Oh man, I love that they get medals for second place.
Come on, bro, don't do this.
Horrible.
That's very un-American.
Don't do this, bro.
By the way, I wouldn't accept it.
No.
If I was in
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to the belief that team baseball is in high school, college, and the pros, and that the minor leagues is more purely an individual sport? I've heard that from different guys. And I think it's hard to say that minor league baseball isn't a team sport, but that's what's so cool about some of these minor leaguers getting a shot in these games, is that it's like team baseball at its purest form. Is that something you've thought about at all?
I do. So I loved Moneyball when it first came out. I love the Astros, the way that they built. But one of the things that analytics has taken away from the game of baseball, because of how much data and how much you can focus on one player. Even I'm talking youth to I umpire game.
Way more individual.
It's way more individualized, and I've seen it. So I coach winter ball 2 years, the past, not this one, but the two, and the amount of minor league players. Again, you're in winter ball. You're playing to compete. You're not there to develop. You're getting booed. The amount of prospects that their God-given talent, meaning hitting, throwing, they were just like off the roof, like just through the roof, just like amazing. But playing baseball, like running the bases, moving the runner over, looking at the scoreboard, having pitchers be able to control the game and saying, hey, this is this team swings the bat more, so let me put the ball more in play instead of trying to strike out every single guy and showing you my best 5 pitches in one batter. I think that's the hardest thing that you see, especially with prospects. And I think that once you start getting into your lateral years of it being in the big leagues, you see guys kind of start changing and becoming better at that.
That's the hardest thing to replicate, because minor league baseball and the organizations that go back to trying to win baseball games and like trying to develop while winning are going to be ahead of the curve while still doing analytics. I remember the Houston Astros, like in the boom of it, they could beat like 13-5. And it wasn't because they weren't good, it's because the pitcher had to throw a certain amount of fastballs. So if you wasted your curveballs because you only could throw 10, then the other team knew that it was fastball coming every single time, or they were practicing the shift. So, and I think that takes something, like when you start not worrying about winning and losing, it takes away your competitive edge. And at the end, you are there to compete. I always say this about prospects, especially when we're talking about bullpen guys and starter guys. I think unless you're an elite pitcher, like something extremely special where you know you're going to be a starter, you have to be prepared for any job that they call you to do in the big leagues. Because when you get that phone call, you're not going to say, I'm turning down $800,000 a paycheck, the big league minimum, because I'm not a starter. Okay? You just want to be there. If you're a hitter and you're usually the third or fourth hitter in your minor league system and you're a prospect, if you go to a good team, you're probably hitting 7th or 8th, 6th maybe. So Ozzie had a rule that anybody that came up, he got this from the Atlanta Braves, you needed to be able to do the little things, move the runner over, bunt. So because when we got to the Sox, the prospects, the big guys, at the time, Brian Anderson, for example, he was hitting like third, never bunted, never. And Ozzie was like, Brian, when you come to our team, again, this is when the White Sox were, stacked World Series team at that point. It's like, you're going to hit like 9th. So you need to learn how to bunt, move the runner over. So I think that part of the game, whatever kid or coach starts teaching them how to play baseball, it'd be better. Like right now, the reason Bobby Witt Jr. is so popular, guys like Bobby Witt Jr., guys like Little Redhead in your favorite player, Jay, in the Cubs, center fielder. The reason those guys are so popular is because
you want me to crash.
No, their God-given ability is that they know how to play baseball. Guys like AJ Brzezinski, like they run the base as well. But we just saw it with Fernando Tatis Jr. Dominican Republic loses a game because they're not a team. They came up with 3 times a runner on second base to move the runner over. With that team, all those guys have 100 RBIs, but no one sacrificed themselves to move the runner over. I'm not saying bunny, move the runner over, get a run in. Tatis makes a horrible running mistake that you shouldn't make at that level in the big leagues, not because he got thrown out at third, but because the second time he had her get to third, he got scared and stopped running. To me, that's bad. You're not a good baseball player. You're a great hitter. So that to me is where I differentiate good baseball players. And it can be for pitchers too. You see guys with talent and you're like, man, how does this guy get shelled? And it's because they haven't learned how to compete. Where at the end of the game, it's all about the scoreboard. And I feel like guys now, like they won't walk a guy because, oh my God, what is it going to look like? And they'll try to strike him out. It's like, dude, get the guy up behind them, like pitch around them. So I think it's a mix, but I think that the teams, coaches in the youth baseball that start teaching better baseball and team play, they're going to be ahead of the curve when it comes around, because I think we have all the data now. Now it's time to bring back let's teach these guys how to play baseball, ball in the dirt. Right. By the way, Venezuela just won a game. Everyone looks at Eugenio Suarez's double, of course, that went up. Venezuela scored a run because of a pass ball. That's baseball.
Don't forget Michael's sacrifice fly, too.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying. Pass ball, Micah sacrifice fly. I just saw the White Sox lose 100 games, lose 25 games because we couldn't drive a runner from third. Okay? Or lose 25 games because a guy from the bullpen couldn't throw a strike. Like if you come from the bullpen and you throw a 99-mile-per-hour fastball and they take you deep, good for you. But if you come from the bullpen and you walk 3 straight guys and I see this in winter ball, guys throwing 99, he's like, ball, slider, ball. It's like, dude, like, let him hit. Like, it's me versus you. So I think that teaching them how to play baseball is going to be something that's going to be key.
So, Nate, I know you are focused on the beginning of the season at BU right now, but can you let our chat know where to find you, and also maybe give us any content that might be coming out soon on your YouTube channel. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I write minor league ball at Overslot or at justbaseball.com, and then I do amateur scouting at Overslot, and then I'm coaching at Bushnell University right now. So find me on Twitter, and you'll see all the links to different dumb silly articles I write.
No, so Nate, so you're in college then, like you're with college players.
I'm a college pitching coach. Yeah. Okay,
so here's the difference. Do you know why there's so many college coaches going into the big leagues now, straight to the big leagues?
Because college.
My take on it.
I believe that Division I hasn't become the same level of baseball. I'm at the NAI level, so it's a little bit more.
No. I'm talking about any level, any coach at that level, because the only place in baseball where you still compete is in the college level. When you get to college, your coach could care less about developing you at so much as like in the minor league system. So they're developing you, but they want to win games, because if they go 0-40, they're going to get fired. So winning is still important. So the coaches become really good at developing, but also creating competitors, which minor league baseball for the last 15 years, they've only created guys that are developing, but not creating competitors. And they're realizing, man, we can bring a guy from a program that can teach guys not only to compete, but can develop them as players. So I think college baseball is probably, out of all the levels, the one place where winning matters. Like, wait. What's the guy we're going to draft? Yeah, what's the draft picks, man? No, correct. What's the guys we're going to draft? The LSU kid?
The White Sox are going to draft?
The White Sox. Who's our first round pick?
UCLA most likely.
UCLA. Okay. When he comes, if the team that he's on in the White Sox starts taking L's, he's not going to be happy, because he's used to coming from a place where he's always winning. That's what you want.
Rock's a guy who didn't transfer even though he had millions of dollars on the table.
Correct. That's what I mean. So that for me, it's culture. When I said, this guy plays for a competitive program, he didn't leave. When he gets to the White Sox, that's why winning in the minor leagues, people say it doesn't matter. It does. You want to compete. You want to have that better level. I wonder when all these guys are talking to Rod Manfred, if they're like, Venezuelan guys are all happy. The American guys, not going to be good for the collective bargaining.
I'm going to leave you guys with this. When I interviewed Rock this past summer, all he wanted to do was talk about his teammates who are getting drafted and talk about winning at UCLA and not talk about himself once. So I think you guys are in pretty dang good hands if he ends up being the number 1 overall pick. I'm excited for you guys.
Beautifully said. All right, everybody in the chat, again, be here next week, next Tuesday night. We're going to be back, and we're going to have next Tuesday night, and then April 1st will be our season preview episode right before opening day. And the 3 of us of our crew are going to be at opening day, so we're going to have a lot coming at you. We're going to be planning for it, and it's going to be a fun start to this season. So, again, thank you for watching the Blackout and our wrap of the WBC.
Hi, Jay.